The Irish Hospice Foundation, IHF, is a national charity dedicated to all matters relating to dying, death and bereavement in Ireland. In this video we will look at understanding what grief is.
Grief is something that everyone will experience at some point in their life. Knowing how the grieving process works helps us understand our own grief and enables us to effectively support others who are grieving.
Loss is losing something that is of significance to us. Grief is the natural process of reaction and adjustment to loss and change. This can involve intense sorrow, which can be mental, physical, emotional and spiritual suffering resulting from loss.
I think all our lives are about loss. Yet the losses that really hurt, though, are the losses that seem to take from our lives. You know, we lose a job, we lose a loved one, we lose our hair, we lose our health. And in some ways they shatter our world, because what was predictable yesterday and familiar is gone today. And that takes a hell of an adjustment. And that adjustment, I suppose, is what we call grieving. Grieving is simply coming to terms with something you've lost that was really important to you.
Grief is not an illness, nor is it something that needs to be fixed. It's a normal part of life and living.
It's a very emotionally intense process. It takes a long time. Like even the most normal of bereavements, we're looking at probably 2 years, roughly, for a normal bereavement to follow through to a point where they can adapt. So it's a long process, so you need to be prepared for the time element as well.
Grief can affect all aspects of our lives. It is not something that we can take up or put down as we choose. It has its own rhythm, which will demand our attention from time to time. It is important to remember that we will have good days and bad days. We need to be able to spend time dealing with our loss and time away from it, doing other things. All this is part of the normal process of coping with loss. You must also remember that people grieve in different ways. Some people like to share their grief and talk about it, whilst others are more private and prefer to channel their grief into activities. In summary, grief is the natural process of reaction and adjustment to loss and change. It is not an illness. It is not something to be fixed. Grieving is about learning to live with the losses in our lives. It normally takes people a minimum of 2 years to adjust to the major aspects of bereavement. And remember, people grieve in different ways.
Everybody will experience loss. Each one of us will experience loss. It is a fundamental part of being alive. Everybody has to grieve. It's simply, we either grieve or we close ourselves off and we become hard or numb and we stop feeling. Because if you're going to keep your heart open, it is going to be broken over and over again. And yet, as you grieve, it will heal. And as it heals, it'll get bigger and bigger and bigger. And that's what it's all about.